Hello, people. This is Dan Bomay again. Man who's been given titles and doesn't hold any of them, doesn't accept any of them, shares only a few of them with a few close people. The rest of the people really is not the concern who, what, where, when, why, or how. Really wanted to know. They spend a day or two with me, but they don't. And that includes people in my family, too. They think they know all about me, and they really don't know anything. To tell you the truth. Ask them a question about where I was born, when I was born. Ask them about my life. And they'll show you how much they really know. So many dark secrets in my family. They don't want to talk about them, but they're out there telling you that they're telling you the truth. They don't know nothing. They sit in their home and they panterize what they have for a fantasy. They've never gone out. But, you know, I'm a, quote, white boy, unquote, from the other part of the family. I'll tell you something about this white boy from the other part of the family. I don't hang around the kosher reserves. You know, the ones the government prop up and make look good so that they feel that they're doing something. When 80% of those kosher reserves are corrupt. They feed off of government money and they look for more government money and they enslave their people while their chiefs getting fat and the councillors are corrupt. Where you don't elect a chief, you elect his entire family or her entire family. Got nothing to do with democracy, but you're out there talking about the native way. I spent weeks at a time at the cost of my first marriage, because it's hardly home, living amongst the real natives up north. The ones everybody from the south like to go up and visit in their fancy cars, fancy white man suits, living on the laps of luxury with their big fancy white man paychecks. I lived amongst those brothers of mine who are native Christian pastors. And I talk about freedom, about not taking government funds, creating their own businesses to incur the wealth for the benefit of the people and hiring their people, since the white man, as they say, oppresses them and won't hire them, when 80% of the ones we see down here are stigma to the very name of what it means to be native. Do you have programs that reach out with drug addiction? Do you have programs reach out and talk to people about the molestation, the family relationships that carry on from generation to generation, where brothers sleep with sisters and cause offspring that shouldn't be? No, but we'll put on some beads and put our hair in pigtails or grow it long, putting on clothes that are made in China. I had a hat given to me. Somebody stole that hat. I put a curse on their head and I hope it's still there. It was made from deer hide. A beloved sister, I call her sister, spent 3 days taking 10 deer hide. God bless her pea-picking heart. I accept it for what it is. She put a border of rabbit skin around. That's not kosher. But it says to take the gift that's set before you and give thanks. And I gave thanks. What amazed me most about this hat and why it meant so much to me is that poor sister elderly lady spent the night attaching 144 exactly. I spent, I don't know how long, counting how many were there. I don't know if she knew what she was doing. I would love to return to that reserve if she's still alive and ask her, did you know what you were doing? 144 Sitcoin stars. They weren't just little bead buttons. They were stars. Why? Because it went straight and reminded me of Scripture. I would later learn in time, I was not a messianic yet, about how everything God does with us and how we do everything to reflect what God has. Deer is kosher. Rabbit is not. I'm not pure. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. It is what it is. I'm out here talking about truth, honesty, and holding up the values which are traditional. I remember being in Moose Lake, Manitoba, and sitting with my friend and brother in the Lord. His name was Harvey Valentine. I don't know if he's still alive or not. The whole point was we were sat there and we were discussing the Bible when this fancy, beautiful stretch limousine pulls up in Shoal Lake, Manitoba. No, not Shoal Lake, sorry. Moose Lake, Manitoba. And the gentleman gets out of his car. He was by color skin native, but he had this fancy, beautiful limousine. And he's dressed in a three-piece suit with a fancy hat with a feather stuck in it, cowboy boots. And he gets out of this car and walks over to Pastor Valentine, and he's saying to him, why do you call yourself native? You need to get off this reserve. You're not native. You're preaching this white man's gospel. You talk about this Jesus. You should be talking more about native traditions. Dressed in a fancy suit, fancy car, fancy rings, fancy brand new boots. My friend looked at him and said, I will. I'd be happy to. Take off your fancy boots. We'll put loincloths and no other clothes upon us. We'll hike a 1-week journey back into the wilderness. And there we will spend 7 days under the moon and the sun, away from TV, radio, fancy cars, and suits. We'll make bannock by hand. We'll build a little shelter and do a sweat together to purify ourselves before God, our Creator, Yichiman too. And we will discuss what it means to be native. The fellow who is native by color, and note, I distinguished the two, got in his fancy car and drove off. Not a word. What about you? I remind people that for 5 days I was up north in Thompson, Manitoba, in a reserve so far away, electricity was scarce among the houses. I hiked back in the woods with a guide, so I'm a white man. I can find my way in. I may not necessarily find my way out. Good day. And there I spent some time in the evening, several hours. And I saw the Northern Lights like I've never seen them here in this city. I don't care how fancy the buildings are, how architecturally appealing they have become. And nothing will affect me more than the sight of Creator's Northern Lights. You say you don't believe in the Christian God, but you believe in the great Creator. If you're native traditionalist, you know that they're the same person. If you're true, you know. I remember in Eagle Butte, South Dakota, when I was asked why I was preaching the white man's gospel, and I didn't know the gentleman asking me was the shaman of the reserve, the medicine man, which most Christian ministers would sit there going like, oh, he's evil, he's devil. I didn't know who he was. I turned around and said, "Excuse me, what did you just say?" He said, "Why are you out here preaching the white man's gospel?" And I said, "Who told you this is the white man's God?" He said, "You talk about Jesus." And that time I did. I still do. I just refer to him by his proper Hebrew name. The same as when I can straighten my tongue out, I call you by your native names. I never use the white man's name. Where I can, when I can. And people appreciate and honor that I at least try to say their proper name in their language. Some days that just ain't easy for this poor little tongue because it's not naturally born that way. I have problems with my own dialect. I'm Gaelic at the best. I don't know anything about my father. I don't know what he was, don't know anything he was, and the family wanted to keep the secret. Makes me wonder why I am the way I am. My family have no secrets. My children won't hold any secrets from me. And if they do, it's only a short while before they come tell me, because they know sooner or later those gossips will take those secrets and come talk to me. And I better hear it from them first. So when they open their mouth and say, "Guess what? I saw your son, daughter do it," I turn around and already heard about it. They don't always agree with my viewpoint. They don't agree with my theology. I never asked them to. I've told them to find the truth in their own. And a lot of what they teach their children is ingrained with that theology. The Great Spirit, the Divine One, the Creator of all, the Father of all. That is where the message of the root of my message has always been. And I preach freedom away from the oppression for reserves which take the money from the government, only build things to show the government and put up their signs. The reserves that I've gone to are self-sufficient. They have their own employment system. And I'm proud of them. I'm proud of what Shoal Lake has become. I'm proud of what Red Earth has become. I'm proud of what's going on in Moose Lake, Manitoba. I'm proud, not because of me, because what they are doing. Point them in the direction of freedom. Take the needle. The same voices that are telling you, demanding that you should be placed in a room and a wall should be based around you in quarantine, those same voices were the same voices that echoed in your ear. Take the blanket. It's nice. It's warm. It's beautiful. It's a good gift. We should take it. Take that blanket and kill thousands of you. It's the same voice. Take a look at them. They're not even blood of your blood. At least I'm honest enough to say I don't know what I am, because I don't know my father. Time to take the voices that you're listening to and see them for what they are. Liars, deceivers. If there's one word of my master that you may not like to hear the name of, is because the people that use the name. And the Bible says that you shall not, use the name of the Lord, your name of God, in vain. And that includes the Son, because they are one and the same. And people have come here, and he told us that they would come using his name. So don't blame him. Yeshua, or Jesus, you like to call him, was not a white man. He was Jew. And for those that are preaching against Jews and against white, are just as evil as those that preach against other colors as well. You shall know the truth, he said, and the truth sets you free. So the truth you listen to is putting you in bondage, causing you to break your knee and subject yourself to false idols. Wear a mask. We remember native traditions. They put a mask on to hide the real face behind there. And they make the rattling music and do the fancy dancing. That's supposed to make you feel good. Think about it. Think about it. before you open your mouth and say, I don't believe in this God, this Jesus. Look at what he taught. What he taught, not what men think he taught. And find the freedom that lies within you. These people are crazy, not me. It's the thought and rant for the day. Have a good night.